This galactic council controls 1,000 planets, but for the last 347 days, they've been getting absolutely destroyed in a war against the Starweaver Empire. Their giant fleets were being deleted, completely wiped out by an enemy that was just perfect. They were losing everything. So, they did something completely insane. They hired a strategist from a quarantined planet full of chaotic people. They hired a human. And his plan was so ridiculous, the entire council thought he was crazy. You are not going to believe what he did. This is High Counselor Vorlag, and he is stressed. Just look at this map. The red icons of the Starweaver Empire are spreading like a virus, taking over everything. These guys are the final boss of the galaxy. Their fleets are perfect, their tactics are perfect, and they don't talk, they just destroy. Then an admiral comes in and says, "Our 7th fleet has been realigned." That's their new word for being literally erased from existence. He said the enemy didn't even use fancy tactics, they just flew straight through them. The council was in a full-blown panic. Their old-school, honorable strategies were getting them crushed. They were basically telling the enemy where they were going to be, and the Starweavers were like, "Thanks, that makes this way easier." Out of nowhere, the super low-level archivist speaks up, and he is literally shaking. He's like, guys, the Forbidden Archives mentioned this one species. They're known for solving problems in really weird ways." Vorlag just stares him down. "You mean the humans? The primitive guys who can't even get along on their own planet? Their biggest export is literal garbage noise. We're not asking them for help." But the archivist was like, I know, but their entire history is just one insane victory after another. They don't win with strength. They win with ideas that are completely unthinkable. We have almost no ships left, so maybe an unthinkable idea is exactly what we need." The room went dead silent. They were facing extinction. They had no choice. Vorlag gave the order that would change everything. "Get me a human." And this is the human they got. His name is Arthur Vance, and he's not some super soldier. He's just a quiet guy in normal clothes with glasses. For 3 full days, he just sat in the war room and listened. He saw all the reports, all the destruction, and he said nothing. He didn't write anything down. He didn't ask a single question. The council was convinced they picked a dud. Finally, Vorlag couldn't take it anymore and screamed, "Human, you see we're losing. What's the plan? What crazy weapon are you going to give us?" Arthur looks up, totally calm, and asks the most insane question ever. "So, this enemy, what's their poetry like?" The entire room just stops. The admiral literally yells, "Poetry? We're about to be wiped out and you're asking about poetry." Arthur just keeps going. "What about their art? What do they do for fun?" The council was sure he was a complete lunatic. An aide pulls up a picture of this crystal thing. This is a kale stone. Their leaders use it to meditate. It has 0 military use. And then Arthur smiles. 0 military use. Perfect. Okay, here's my plan. We're not going to attack their warships. We're going to launch a galaxy-wide mission to make every single shipment of these meditation stones exactly 3 days late. The council absolutely lost it. Vorlag yelled, "You want us to waste our last ships to annoy them?" It's called strategic annoyance. Let's just see what happens when their perfect leaders miss their morning meditation for a month. Because they had literally no other ideas, the council just went with it. They sent out their tiniest, fastest ships, which were useless in a fight. And these ships didn't attack anyone. They just snuck up on civilian cargo ships and attached little rockets that sent them on a tiny detour. It was the biggest, most expensive prank in galactic history. At first, nothing happened. The Star Weavers kept winning. But then weird reports started coming in. A destroyer was 2 hours late for a battle. An enemy officer complained about being stressed out. Tiny things. Arthur just nodded. Good. Now for Phase 2. He asked for access to their computer networks. And this is where it gets wild. Arthur's next weapon was paperwork. I am not kidding. They spammed the Star Weaver network with millions of fake but official-looking documents. Fake orders for parts that didn't exist. New rules for taking out the trash that made no sense. They promoted the same guy to 5 different jobs at once. To the Council, this was the most dishonorable thing ever. But to the Star Weavers, who were all about perfect rules and order, it was a complete system crash. Their leaders, who were trained to follow every order perfectly, started getting thousands of nonsense orders. Imagine expecting a shipment of missiles and getting a truck full of decorative flowers instead. Entire fleets were ordered to 2 different places at the same time. The perfect Star Weaver war machine was literally dying from paperwork. This is a strategy only humans could invent, and the enemy had 0 defense against it. And that's when it finally clicked for Vorlag. He was watching a live feed of a huge Star Weaver fleet. And they weren't fighting. They were just floating in space, arguing about 17 different fuel forms. Their perfect formations were a complete disaster. Vorlag looks over at Arthur, who's just casually reading a book, and he realized Arthur wasn't attacking their ships. He was attacking their entire culture. He was attacking their idea that they were perfect. It was absolutely brilliant. But the final phase was the most savage move of all. Arthur didn't block their communications. He started adding fake broadcasts. He sent out little whispers, changing single words in their sacred texts to make it seem like their own leaders were corrupt. Paranoia did what a billion lasers never could. Commanders started doubting every order. The entire empire, built on perfect trust, started tearing itself apart looking for traitors who weren't even there. The Star Weaver Empire didn't lose in some epic space battle. It just stopped. The fleets went home. The invincible war machine fell apart in a few weeks because of rumors and bad paperwork. The war ended. Back in the war room, the map was clear. The war was over. Everyone stared at Arthur, who just looked up from his book and said, "Looks like your problem's solved." The Council finally understood. They thought humans were weak because they were chaotic and always fighting with each other. But they realized that wasn't a weakness. It was training. It created a species that knows how to use chaos as a weapon. Vorlag looked at the map, at the tiny little dot called Earth. And for the first time, he realized the most dangerous thing in the galaxy isn't a giant fleet of starships. It's a single person with an idea you can never predict.